and fulfilled like ABCs are fulfilled in reading. I really want you to get this. Here's a 4-year-old. 4-year-old's all upset. Dad drags him to church and the kid's bawling and he's just mad. Oh, just mad. Why? Well, his dad wouldn't take him to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. And he didn't get his Happy Meal. So his lip is on his shoes. He's crying, he's mad, and he sits. But by the time church is over, he's running around with the kids. He's over it. He forgot. We all look at him and say, 4-year-old. It's the way they are. Here's a 40-year-old. You guys catch on fast. Jesus says that's what's going on in this passage. In fact, if you read the Acts chapter 17 chapter where Paul is preaching to the boys in Athens, and he says, God overlooked things in times past. The old King James was winked at. Yeah, back here, well, David committed adultery, and he was right. He was the apple of God's eye. God loved him. Man, that was back here, son. That was a 4-year-old stuff. We're not in the 4-year-old, folks. We're not 4-year-olds anymore. We're 40-year-olds. This thing has progressed, and what God put up with back here, He will not tolerate now. See, back here, what was try, struggle, work harder. Whoops, you missed it. Try again. See, that was okay back here. Not here, son. That doesn't exist here. Why? Because we're leased and we are in an intimacy with the divine God, and this thing has grown up. This has been sucked into this, and this is a new day of the kingdom and the intimacy and the power and the oneness and the fullness of the Spirit. And there, what you're trying to base you're acting like what are you doing, 4-year-old? You're a 40-year-old now. Come on. Now, he moves us to verse 14. And if you are willing to receive it, he is Elijah who is to come. Oh, Jesus, speak to us. Wow. I don't know. See what you think. If you are willing to receive it. Interesting, in the Greek language, the word it is not there. So it literally says, if you are willing to receive, which means it's not a focus on what you're receiving, it's a focus on receiving. So the emphasis in the passage is, will you just be open? Will you just be seeking? Will you just not focus on, oh, I'm trying to get that? No, that's this over here. What we're talking about, he says, is will you just be open? Will you just be responsive and let God do what He wants to do in your life? So this is not performance-oriented. This is, seeking-oriented, open-oriented. I'm after it oriented. I'm open, oh God. Will you just receive it? And if you will, He is Elijah who is to come. Now, there's all sorts of controversy about this. To get into the controversy just a little bit, if you go to the end of the Old Testament, you realize there's 400 years between the Old Testament and the New Testament. If you go to the last 2 verses of the Old Testament, Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 and 6, there is a prophecy that the Jews were really stuck on, which applies, of course, to this verse that Jesus is giving here. It's a prophecy that says in verse 5 of Malachi chapter 4, behold, I send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Now, God has promised that He's going to send Elijah the prophet. When is He going to send him? Obviously, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. When is the great and dreadful day of the Lord, the judgment day, going to show up? You will know it showed up when Elijah shows up, because it's just about to come after Elijah shows up. That's the prophecy. And he gives a little more insight into it, which becomes important as we move on. He will turn, this Elijah guy, will turn the hearts of the father to the children and the hearts of the children to their father, lest I come and strike the earth with a curse. That's the prophecy. So the Jews believed that there was this coming of this guy, Elijah. Now the interesting thing about Elijah is he didn't die, so he doesn't need to be raised from the dead. I mean, he just got in the chariot and went off. Now, you say, well, explain that. Have no idea? Don't know. Not even going to try. I mean, did his body decay? I don't know. Was he glorified as he went along? I don't know. Does he have a new heavenly body? I don't know. Did his body rot and he just has a spirit? I don't know. Does he have a new glorified body like Jesus does? I don't know. Help yourself, whatever you think I'm for. Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer any of those questions. All I know is the boy got in a chariot and off he went. And we never got buried because he never died. So they were looking for this Elijah guy to come back in that chariot. And then there would be this great judgment day that would wrap this whole thing up. Now, is John the Baptist that guy? Well, if they did, if he is, they got his name wrong, which is typical for bulletins. But anyhow, if they got his name wrong, you know, they're always spelling your name wrong. Don't know even who you are. You're the evangelist, brother. So is Jesus, now remember, Jesus is validating the ministry of John the Baptist. So is this John the Baptist the Elijah guy? And how is he attached to Elijah? And how does that fit in? Now, obviously, there's a lot of controversy about this. For instance, there's a whole group of people that think that John the Baptist was not the Elijah. He was not the Elijah, came in the spirit of Elijah, but he's not the Elijah. That Elijah is still going to come. In fact, there were two guys that never died. Elijah was one of them, got in the chariot, off he went. Never died. Enoch never died. Went out walking with God. God said, you're closer to my house than we are to yours, so come on. So he never died. So you got two of them. You got two of these boys. In fact, some people think that what's going to happen is these two actual men, Elijah and Enoch, are coming back. They will be the two witnesses in the book of the Revelation who will literally preach and bring revival to the Jews. That'll change this, that'll be the revival before the great day of judgment. So we're really waiting for these two boys to come back. Is that true? I don't know. Does John the Baptist fulfill this prophecy? I don't know. Is Elijah really coming back and he's going to bring Enoch with him? I don't know. In fact, let me ask you, if you do know, how does it change your life? And what is it going to do to your driving when you go home tonight after the service? So why don't you sit around and argue about this for hours and hours and hours and develop a whole denomination around the belief? Because it evidently really matters. I'm way too sarcastic. I apologize. Well, so you're saying you don't know. That's right. I have no clue. There's no way to nail that down for me to be absolutely, this is the way it is kind of stuff. Therefore, I don't know. How does it apply to my life? What does it change? Doesn't do anything, man. Doesn't do anything for me. So would it be okay if we took this passage and we didn't deal with what we didn't know? What would happen if we would deal with what we do know?